For over 30 years, Soviet intelligence searched for Antonina Makarova. Not because she was a famous thief or political dissident. She worked at a sewing factory, her portrait proudly displayed on the Wall of Honor. A war veteran, wife of a hero, and caring mother of 2 daughters. But when neighbors and co-workers learned that during World War II she had been a Nazi executioner responsible for the deaths of over 1,500 Soviet citizens, they were horrified. In August 1979, she was executed by firing squad under Soviet law. Tonka the Machine Gunner became one of only 3 women executed in the USSR after Stalin's purges. Her biography was confusing and full of contradictions, which helped her stay hidden after the war. Tonka the Machine Gunner, the Soviet woman who killed 1,500 people for the Nazis, even her exact year of birth is unknown, most sources agree it was 1920. She was born into a large family in the village of Malaya Volkovka in the Smolensk province. That's where she began school. Due to a clerical error, she was registered with the surname Makarova. No one bothered to correct it, and the youngest daughter of the Pamphilov family became Makarova. She finished school in Moscow, where the family had moved when she was 14. After school, she enrolled in a medical college, dreaming of becoming a nurse. Her classmates remembered that she wasn't very diligent, but she loved reading books about Civil War heroes. Her idol was a legendary female machine gunner. When the war began, Makarova volunteered for the front. Later she claimed she served as a medic, carrying the wounded off the battlefield. But her fellow soldiers denied this, they said she worked as a canteen waitress. She was only officially listed as a medic shortly before her unit was surrounded. Her entire frontline service lasted 3 months. In October 1941, her unit was caught in the Vyazma encirclement, and Makarova was taken prisoner. One of the prisoners, Nikolai Fechik, suggested escaping together. They succeeded, and for nearly 2 months they hid in the forests. Later Makarova claimed that Fechik raped her. But most likely, she stayed with him willingly, afraid to be alone. When they reached Fechik's village, Krasny Kolodez, he abandoned her, he had a wife and children. Left alone, Makarova wandered until local women took her in. Soon, she began seducing men and stealing. They kicked her out. She faced 2 choices, join the partisans or collaborate with the Nazis. She chose the latter. In January 1942, she entered the Nazi-occupied town of Lokot and went straight to the commandant's office. At the time, Lokot was the capital of the so-called Lokot Republic. It was led by Bronislav Kaminsky, a former Bolshevik who became a Nazi collaborator. Kaminsky offered her a job with good pay. Her task? Execute civilians and prisoners with a machine gun. Before her first execution, she was given vodka. The executions took place on the outskirts of the village of Irva. There, partisans, elderly men, women, and children were lined up. Tonka was handed a machine gun, and she opened fire. She finished off the survivors with a pistol. She usually killed 20 to 30 people a day. Sometimes, twice a day. She quickly got used to her role. Soon she began looting the dead, stripping their clothes, taking money and jewelry. By day she killed, by night she danced with Nazis. She also engaged in sexual relations with Germans for money. Ironically, this is what saved her. In 1943, she contracted syphilis and was sent to a rear hospital. When the Red Army liberated Lokot and hanged the collaborators, Tonka was gone. She was in Poland, with a new lover, a German corporal she met at the hospital. Later he was killed, and she ended up in a concentration camp. After liberation, she used a stolen military ID and gave a false name. She even briefly served in the Red Army. After the war, she married a decorated war hero, Victor Ginsburg. They had 2 daughters. She worked at a sewing factory and received medals as a war veteran. Neighbors considered her quiet and respectable. She told fictional war stories to children at schools. For the first 10 years after the war, she flinched at every knock on the door. Later, she relaxed, convinced the danger had passed. But she was wrong. In 1976, her brother, an army officer, listed in official forms that his sister's name was Antonina Makarova. That triggered surveillance. Agents questioned her under the pretext of award processing. She couldn't name any military units or commanders. Eventually, women from Lokot were brought to Lepel. They immediately recognized her. Antonina was quietly arrested at work. She showed no surprise. The investigation lasted 2 years. She was found guilty of killing 168 people. But in reality, the number of victims exceeded 1,500. In 1978, she was sentenced to death. On August 11, 1979, the sentence was carried out. When her husband learned the truth, his hair turned gray within days. Although many sources claimed that Victor Ginsburg left Lepel with his daughters and disappeared, in reality, they stayed in Lepel. They faced no public discrimination, and no accusations were made against them. But they would never be able to forget who their wife and mother truly was. Victor Ginsburg died on February 2, 1993. If you liked this video, give it a like and subscribe to see more true stories from the dark pages of history. Thanks for watching.